Hello everyone, you're welcome to this edition of The Inside. I am Babla Jonathan. Today, we are analyzing the educational system of the Republic of Cameroon, which many analysts qualify as poor, unadapted, and archaic. And this is a serious problem in Cameroon today with the educational system that is said to be far away from the exigencies of the job market, that is said to be producing graduates who do not meet the requirements of the job market. We're looking at an educational system qualified as poor, and it should be noted that higher education training in Cameroon is severely compromised by a critical lack of practical equipment and rapid proliferation of unaccredited professional programs and an extreme disconnect between competencies of the job market, requirements of the job market, and instruction or training delivered in higher institutions of learning in the country. And while public and private higher institutions generate thousands of technical diploma holders annually, the training process is heavily undermined by systemic deficiencies that yield low job placement and technical mastery. We are looking at these issues in this edition of The Inside. Also, in this edition of the program, we're analyzing the difficult business environment in Cameroon and what it takes to thrive in such an environment. Cameroon's business environment remains challenging, marked by difficult access to finance, heavy administrative procedures, infrastructure gaps, taxation pressures, and an unpredictable regulatory landscape. And for many entrepreneurs, starting a business is only the beginning. The real challenge is keeping it profitable, competitive, and sustainable in an economy where cost and risk can be high. Stay with us and meet our guest in some few seconds. Today on The Inside, we are receiving Dr. VISHI MONJU Johnson, a distinguished professional whose experience and expertise and perspectives offer valuable insight into some of the key issues shaping our society. In this exclusive conversation, we go beyond the headlines to explore his journey, his work, and the ideas driving his vision for the future. And from leisure to hotels, classrooms, and higher education, Dr. VISHI MONJU Johnson has built businesses across diverse sectors in Cameroon. He's the founder and chief executive officer of VISHI University Institute. But beyond the success story is a bigger question. What does it really take to build and sustain a business in Cameroon? And on The Inside, we explore his journey, the money, risk, and failures behind entrepreneurship, the challenges of doing business in Cameroon, and his growing investment in education with a focus on building institutions that can stand the test of time. Dr. VISHI MONJU Johnson, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Babila Jonathan. It's my pleasure to be in your prestigious studio. I've heard and seen you for over time, and it's my privilege to be with you today to talk in person.
It's also a pleasure to receive you today. We've equally heard much about you, especially in business and in the domain of education. We'll come to all of that. First of all, let me have your comments on the late publication of results of the 2026 session of the General Certificate of Education, GC Ordinary and Advanced Levels.
Again, thank you very much, Mr. Babila Jonathan. The late publication of the GCE results is really a problem because it doesn't affect only the children, it doesn't affect only the parents, it affects even the educational sector, because planning and effective pick-up and other necessities and logistics are very, very complicated with compromise with the late release of the results. And again, it just compromises just the situation. Like in your opening remarks, you see that it further compounds the problem of the educational system in Cameroon, because we keep moving from one difficulty to the next, and this is just a difficulty. This year is not going to be very, very easy for students, parents, and other things in that schools are starting in September, and in 10 days, results are out. All of this is really complicated.
And this is a problem that started with the fraud detected during the written phase of the exam, which led to an extension of the period for the writing of the General Certificate of Education.
In fact, Mr. Babila, it is really awful and very devastating, because we really don't understand the mechanisms and the difficulties to manage all of this, because we are in a digital world, and yet we behave like we are in the analog world of those days where things were happening just anyhow. But like we say, it is really a thing which the government of Cameroon has to sit up and make sure that things like this should not be happening. They shouldn't be happening, actually. And there are ways that we can do this not to happen.
Now that it has already happened, the results have been released late. What advice can you give to the parents, the pupils, the students, at this point, with just some days left, or weeks, a week or so, to the start of the next academic year, even though universities will be starting in October?
Yeah, for universities, I think it's not bad because they still have a month to prepare. But for those going to high schools and
lower
things, it's really bad, because considering even the economic hardship in the country now, to raise funds and prepare children in 10 days is always not easy. Even though we always say that, you are supposed not to wait for the last minute to prepare. But again, when you are preparing and you don't know exams, children go and write exam twice and come, you are not very certain. And so, many things are bound to happen. We can only pray that things like this should stop happening, because I don't know how I can say it is bad.
And now the question, after the GC, what next? This is a question that often than not, many candidates who succeed, after the publication of the results, they are still not certain. They are still not having a clear stand as far as what they are going to do next is concerned after the GCE. Many of them still have a lot of doubts as per concerning what they are going to do next, the field of study that they are going to pursue next, either in the university, in a professional school, and why.
In fact, that is one of the reasons I personally decided to go into higher education, because I started school in the commercial section in those days, where it was difficult to have a commercial university in Cameroon, and we struggled with it, and came out by anyhow to be what we wanted to be, using international sections, using foreign exams and things. And that is why, each opportunity that avails itself, and we look at these difficulties that you have just enumerated here, and particularly technical and commercial education, because that is where we have been wanting in the country, in the good olden days and in the time of missionaries and colonization for per se. Most of them encourage general education, and so commercial technical education was not. And the greatest problem our economy is suffering now is because the greatest of our people are generalists, they are not specialists, and so professionals are lacking. And so, the results coming out now, and the question you've asked about specialization and things is my greatest problem. And one of the reasons we created VISHI University Institute was to select a couple of those that really want to professionalize and put hands on deck to do the things that will not necessitate them to go looking for jobs or begging for things. And so we encourage people's children that have written and passed to make those good choices now, and in difficulties, they could always visit our websites and talk to us. And as you are talking here now about Chris, we are actually available and ready to give coaching to parents and children so that they cannot fall in the same soap and be the same people in the next 10 years in Cameroon, because we are really suffering and we don't want our children to be in the same situation now.
What should guide a choice of a student to either go to a professional school, to go to the university, to study, I don't know, technology, engineering, mathematics, science, that's the STEM, or to go for literature, English language, geography, and the other general subjects?
In fact, Mr. Babila Jonathan, to say the least, the STEM system of education is about the best. If you see America, most of the developed world, that is what they do. There is no such thing like studying history, geography, things in class for somebody to start writing a degree in those subjects, except professional teachers who must learn and do that. I mean, nobody goes to the university or secondary school or any of those to do these things in the developed world. It is only back here that we're doing that, and children do it sometimes because of lack of the know-how and lack of counseling and many other things. Our encouragement now is that now that GCE is out and O-level, A-level is out, it's good for parents and the children to talk to professionals, talk to people like us, go to websites. The world is a virtual world. They shouldn't go to the media just to do social media and look at things. They should find out what the children are and seek advice, so that the children should go and do what will be profitable to them, to their immediate society, and to the government concerned. And I'm thinking the next 10 years, we will no longer find ourselves in this kind of situation where we are now.
And not just going to the university to study something for the sake of going to the university, but with a vision, with an idea that will be profitable for the student, his nation.
Yes, exactly that.
Right.
Very, very correct.
Now, let's talk about the gap between training in higher institutions of learning today in Cameroon and the exigencies of the job market. There seems to be quite a wide gap, and that is why we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of certificate holders seeking jobs everywhere, and nobody, or very few, creating jobs. What is your analysis? What is your understanding of this gap?
Mr. Babila Jonathan, my analysis of this gap is the government first has made education very generic, and children, when they pass any of the subject, it's a matter of struggling to get to school. One of the reasons that we created VISHI Higher Institute was to professionalize. We may not have thousands of students, but we may have hundreds of students. And I want to say that since 2001, when we started, it will have produced 600 students. Of those 600, I'm proud to say more than 400 are gainfully employed, either by themselves or by government or by institutions in Cameroon. That's the target we really have, and we are realizing. And that's the target the Cameroon government should have. That's the target every other Cameroonian should have. If that happens, you will see the Cameroon situation a better case in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's of course what is expected. What is expected to happen, especially considering the technological era in which we are today.
Yes.
In a fast-moving world, where all the stories about Vasco da Gama discovered the sea to India, Christopher Columbus, and all of that, do not produce anything,
Not at all.
do not create anything, do not provide any solution to the immediate problems that we have in Cameroon, in Africa, and the world.
That's right.
So when you look at the way we are still doing things in Cameroon with a lot of theory and a lot of um, flaws in terms of technical or practical equipment required to train not job seekers, but job creators? Do you think that we are moving towards that direction?
At the global level?
Of course, there are a few institutions like VISHI University Institute, like ICT University of Professor Victor Mbarka, like 7 International University of Tech Expert Frederick Chelu, and others that are doing quite a lot in this technical perspective. But there is still a lot of backwardness in terms of technical know-how.
Yes, like you have rightly said, the truth is that the government of Cameroon needs to, we have government technical schools that were created in the then days. Equipment were given or bought by the government that have not been catered for. Either they have deteriorated, either they have, outdated, and they are not being replaced. And so, generically and systematically, children that go through those schools in those good olden days that the schools were created really had material and technical things to study. And you can see that many of them, me for example, we were the first batch. I am a first batch of the government technical high school, Baminda. And at the time there was nothing. By the time we were leaving the school, the Canadian government together with the Cameroon government came together and constructed a state-of-the-art technical school called Canada in Bamenda, and I think other places in Cameroon, and there were equipment there. Those that studied there within those early days when the equipment were good are really up and able to do. But after that, they have deteriorated, they have not been replaced, they have not been fixed, they have not even been upgraded, and that is the real problem that we're having, because now basically many of the students go there, but many of them come out almost like general education people. And so the best case situation will be upgrade those places. And that's why most of the time some of us that have passed through all those difficult situations will find a way and try to get a couple of those things, work with other governments, like VISHI Higher Institute just signing collaboration with the JARA Japan Institute for Computer Activities. And this is helping our children to, get online and real-time interchanges on computer engineering. We will not just train computer writers or computer engineers on theory. We are doing hands-on, and that is what every other university, including state-owned university, should do. Because if you say there is somebody is a computer engineer and he comes here, he can't open a computer, he can't do this, he can't do that, it is absolutely not acceptable. And so I'm saying it will be good for the government first to start by making sure that they revisit all those schools that were created like technical schools in those good days, more than 20 years ago, and nothing has been done, and do something on the equipment. That will enhance the public side. For those of us in the private, as much as possible, like you have said, we try to make sure that the material and the equipment we use are real time and things that can be touched on now. And so that is the stripe that I have as a person.
And that definitely demands investment.
Yes.
In, I want to say, hundreds of millions of francs CFA to acquire up-to-date equipment. Now, how do you balance quality education, affordable fees, and profitability?
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila. Again, when you are investing in education, it is not all about profitability. It is about passion and partnerships. Like the partnership, I say, VISHI Higher Institute is doing with the Japanese companies, and to a lesser extent the government, is to be able to enable VISHI have good equipment, particularly on computer sciences, because that is where the Japanese government is excelling, and we know they produce all these vehicles, Toyota, all those things. And so we work with them and we try to get those equipment, not necessarily buying, or we buy a few, but we try to get into partnership so that we can do this. And we encourage the government, we encourage other Cameroonians who are into higher education to do same, because that is the only way. Because if you want to even buy, the money will not be there, and even if you buy, sometimes it is difficult to clear and all those things. But when you pass through government and government, it is easy because the government will be working on a bilateral basis, and that is what VISHI is encouraging and doing actually real time.
So, if I consider that, or what you say now, is what is obtained on ground.
Yes.
A student who comes to VISHI, how would that student be different from a student who goes to maybe an institution that does not pay attention to all these, to this technical side, to give the students hands-on knowledge, practical hands-on knowledge? In fact, what makes the difference?
The difference is clear, Babila. Like I have said, you know, it is not on this studio that the difference can be seen or heard, or me saying. The difference will be, you know, the test of the pudding is in the eating. Schools are starting. Come to school. Go to visit the VISHI website and see the examples. See the children that have come out. See what is happening. Come there and see, and you'll be able to know that we're not talking theory. We're talking practice. We have done our best with the cooperations and the collaboration that I've told you, both local and external, to finance a couple of those things that are happening. And for the technical aspect of it and the professionalization, we are not joking. And it will be good that parents and the students should visit the VISHI Higher University Institute website and see what is happening real time and be able to make informed choices or informed decisions as the GCE has just come out.
We have the problem of proliferation of unaccredited professional programs, and students finding themselves in situations where their certificates are not recognized internationally. What do you have to say about this? Are all your programs at VISHI University accredited, aligned with national and international norms?
Very much aligned, Mr. Babila. VISHI University Institute signed a cooperation agreement with the University of Bamenda in 2022 when we were just 1 year old. And so even the first, for all external examination, the higher national diploma, you know, is not set by VISHI. All our students write the higher national diploma and the national diploma. And from 2025, when we signed the partnership, specialized partnership agreement with the University of Bamenda, all the university degrees that are issued to VISHI students are from the University of Bamenda. We don't issue any certificates. So either the children who do HND do the HND, write the HND, which is a national exam, or they write
set and supervised by the Ministry of Higher Education.
Yes. So we don't have anything. So we don't VISHI. I myself, I don't sign any certificate for any of the children that come through the school. It's just the name, and the rest are accredited. Like the JALA Japan partnership we're having on computer engineering. At the end of the day, we are in the second year of the cooperation. In fact, the advisor to the council to the Japan ambassador in Cameroon was with me in campus on Thursday this week, and we are finalizing documentation with JARA Japan, and as soon as we are done with that, this accreditation and the certification of those doing computer engineering and interfacing will be issued by a Japanese renowned university. It will not be issued by me or issued by even the University of Bamenda, because they would not have competence on professionalism.
And so what is your understanding of this proliferation of unaccredited professional programs?
Well, for those that do those, I cannot say much because I'm not interested to learn what is bad. For me, it's either it is on the table or it is not on the table.
Many Cameroonians are falling in the trap.
Yes, I know.
And studying for 1, 2, 3 years, and at the end of the day,
I know that. But that is not what I want to practice. I have not practiced it. I will never practice it. And I don't want anybody to talk to me about that, because the encouragement is, we are in a virtual world today. All of those sites where those things happen, or scamming or whatever, they exist. And children have to be careful. And that is why we say there is always a website, there is always good information to find. You need to find out. You don't go and bury yourself, and at the end of the day you get a fake certificate. That is bad.
It's really bad indeed.
Yes.
So let's proceed to talk about the American curriculum.
The curriculum we're using is the ABECA system. This is a system that is, training children from the kindergartens up to the level to go to secondary school, college in the U.S. system. In Cameroon, we are...
Why did you choose the American curriculum?
This is because we
apply in Cameroon.
Because we have children, our own children, and our brothers and sisters' children that are in the U.S. that prefer those children to study with us and then come over at the college level. So we do that in order that we can have them study here and then go and continue there, instead of doing our normal system here and then go there and have to go through either, they will go through other procedures before they will enter into the system. They may have to go there and study for 1-2 more years to get used to the system there. But with the current ABECA system that we're using here, from the kindergarten to the level that the child will go to college, when you have that certificate here and go to the U.S., you get into college immediately without any such thing like getting qualification equivalents or things.
Should Cameroon not move, generally speaking, from the curriculum that is applied in Cameroon today, from the kindergarten right to the university, should Cameroon not move to that international standard where the certificates that we acquire here are valid, acceptable, recognized at the same level, like universities or certificates from other universities, even in other African countries and America, European countries, and so on?
That is my prayer. My fervent prayer is for the government of Cameroon to do same. And I am available. I will be ready to counsel. I will be available to even show what we are doing. And some of my children studied in the U.S. and it is based on that I have this. In fact, my first son studied there, and he's the one heading most of those activities here. I am not one of those who is very excited in having people go and stay in Europe or America. No, I really want that we should make it happen here, because we cannot have gold and we're going for silver as well.
That's interesting. That's an interesting perspective, because as we speak now, if you talk to 100 Cameroonians, you can be sure that at least 95 of them will tell you that there is nothing here. The best thing to do is to go to the US, go to France, go to Germany, England, because there is nothing good here in Cameroon. But you're saying the opposite.
Yes, just the opposite, and I'll remain on the opposite, because there is just everything in Cameroon. The problem is the mindset and what we are talking about. You
have a wrong mindset in Cameroon?
Very wrong, because you think that all is there when all is here. We're going through difficulties. We really have difficulties, yes. But difficulties does not mean that it's all bad. No. Difficulties as a human being is part of life, because you expect good and bad. And even for those of us who are Christians, know that the Bible tells us that in every situation, give thanks. And so if it is bad, give thanks. When it's good, make sure that you give thanks. And I know that you can make it good from bad. And in our case, all we need is a little bit of mindset, like we have all agreed. When we change the mind and focus and do the right thing, there is no doubt in my memory that our brothers and sisters that are liking the France, the Americans, would like to come back here, because it is better here than there.
When we change our mindset,
yes,
and kick out corruption, embezzlement, mismanagement of public funds.
Very correct.
And do things right.
Very correct.
Cameroon will be much better.
The real Africa in miniature.
The real Africa in miniature, the continent.
Yes.
All right. So, what is, in practical terms, what's the difference between the American curriculum and what we are applying here in Cameroon?
The difference is, like you have been saying, we are doing generic things, they're doing specific things, because the STEM program is studying engineering, science, and technology. But here, when you study geography, you study history, you study, and a child tells you I have a degree in history, I have a geography. No, American child will tell you I have a degree in history, I have a this, except it's a teacher of history that when, after the STEM program or a specialized program did not succeed, then they go and do those other ones in order that they can have a way of life. Because, I mean, the STEM program is science, technology, and those things are also difficult for some of them who are in America. And so when it is difficult at one level, you can drop out and then you go and do a specialized simple course like geography or language in order you can have a living. It's not that people should come and naturally go to school to specialize and do general education, or what I always call generic education.
But our history is important, right?
Yes, no, it is.
It is important for us to know our history.
Very important.
And but the problem is that it looks like we spend a lot of time studying the history of others.
That is
Vasco da Gama's and so on.
The problem
and then we don't know people like John Kufonja. We don't know people like E.M. Ndele. Yes. We don't know the NS.
No, don't even talk about politicians. Talk about
Felix Mumiez.
No, don't even talk about politicians. Talk about the social media and the school that we're saying here. Our own children are not researching. The social media is here. They are not researching this. You know, this is the children have had A level to go to university now. A good student should be able to, after listening to this interview, find out what VISHI is all about. Find out about the other universities. You quoted about 7 other private universities that are doing well. Find out about them. Spend time and look at them. Spend time and look at state university, what they are doing. Well, our children are not orientated to do that. We are not orientating them to do that. So, you know, it is actually a thing of the past and even a thing of the present. So we need to, I don't know how else I can do, but like I say, I am trying my best to make sure that we put what is necessary here so that what we are saying Babylon should no longer repeat itself in the next 5-10 years. And the only way out is to change your mindset like me and you have said. If you don't, then we will continue to talk like this, and those other people will continue to go ahead. They are planning to go and settle in the moon. We're struggling to go and replace them at home instead of struggling to do our own things here.
All right, we'll go to the news stands now. We're taking a look at what the newspapers reported this week. This is the press review. Daily Voice reignites the conversation on what it qualifies as a 10-year forgotten war, referring to the armed conflict raging in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, and the paper indicates that killings continue. The Sun, Atanganji's Limbe visit, sorrow, pain, turn into relief and joy. According to the Sun, the sorrow and pains triggered by the recent deadly flood in the city of Limbe in the southwest region of the country was transformed into joy and relief when the Minister of Territorial Administration Atanganji Paul went there to deliver President Paul Biya's aid to over 500 flood victims. On the same issue, Newswatch tells its readers that the Minister of Territorial Administration handed over government's relief package to the Limbe flood victims, and the Guardian Post qualifies Minister Atanganji Paul as l'enfant chéri of Limbe, reporting that the Minat boss was visibly the star of the day while delivering President Paul Biya's relief to victims of flood and landslide in Limbe. Another issue of the Guardian Post reports President Paul Biya's return to the country after 74 days abroad, and Cameroon Tribune confirms his return. Meanwhile, in the horizon, political leader Olivier Billet urges Cameroonians to mobilize for an inclusive national roundtable to bring forth a new order out of chaos in All right, thank you for staying with us. We're still with our guest, Dr. VISHI MONJU Johnson, founder and chief executive officer of VISHI University Institute, educationist, and entrepreneur. Now, Doctor, let's talk about the issue of cost of training. Cost of training seems to be a real problem. Looking at the purchasing power of many Cameroonians, that remains quite low. Many unable to afford for training in good institutions of learning like yours, St. Louis University Institute, and others that are offering practical training that meets the exigencies of the job market and the technological era in which we are today. How are you managing to solve this problem?
As I have been saying, Mr. Babila, it is really hard. We are living a very difficult moment with parents, ourselves, and the economy is not doing well. But we have these children that we have delivered and they are going to school. We have to do everything it takes. In VISHI, what we do is we try as much as possible to engage them, to do other things with us, as we are not only into schools. Like you have said, I am into leisure, I am into hotel management, and I am into even agriculture, because I basically even started from agriculture and livestock, doing piggery, doing poultry, and all those things. Those things we still do them. And when children come to us, in fact, in the VISHI Higher Institute, at one point, when a couple of those students come and they are unable to pay, we even started a small poultry house in the university campus for them to do their practical agricultural manual work on. And they did, and some of them sold the chickens and were able to have money to pay their rents and reduce their school fees. We have done this and we're still doing. And for those who are not able to do and can do other things, we create the internship programs, and they go to our hotel and serve, either in the restaurant or they go and clean in the rooms, and they get things happening. That is our own little way of ensuring that our students go through and are satisfactory. But we are generally appealing to the government to make a difference. The mindset must be changed, because if it is not changed, we will continue to talk like this and remain. And this very blessed and rich land that we have, we will continue to be like slaves in it.
Right. Let's talk about business now. You're an entrepreneur, and the business environment in Cameroon is not very favorable. And we are talking about a business environment where there are so many challenges marked by difficult access to finance, heavy administrative procedures, infrastructure gaps, taxation pressure, and an unpredictable regulation landscape. What's your analysis of this unfavorable business environment, especially for small and medium-sized businesses?
Yeah, again, it is a difficult situation, because you don't want to start criticizing your own government. But like I am saying, nothing is difficult if you really want to go through it. Yes, it is difficult to start, it is difficult to keep, and it is difficult to explore, to excel. But at least people are doing. And I can only pray that the mindset of our administrators and government officials should change a little bit, to know that if there is the situation of all those things that you have said, the situation will not only be good for us, the business people trying to set up and do other things, but it will be good for the common Cameroonian, and will make life palatable for our children not to go and die in the seas trying to go to Europe and Americas.
And as we speak, many Cameroonians are not business-minded. Many are more inclined to white-collar jobs, putting on suits and ties like mine, sitting in an office.
Exactly right, Mr. Jonathan, because
So let's get into your journey.
Yes.
Let's get into your journey, and I'm hoping that it's going to inspire many of us, even salary earners, to know that we can be earning salary, but at the same time doing business. Because salary, somebody described it as an enslavement, or better still, something that cannot take you to anywhere in terms of making real money. So, Doctor, tell us, where did your business journey begin, and how did you raise money to start? Did you start with money? Because a lot of people think that business is about money. The first thing is money.
Babiola, thank you very much for coming to that. I thought that was where we would have started. I've been working for 40 years today. September 1st, in the next couple of 10 days, is going to make me 40 years at work. I started work 1st of September 1986. And that same year that I started work in September, in October, I went to do outright work in Widikum and saw palm oil cheap. And I bought a tin. At that time, a tin of palm oil used to be about 2,000 CFA. And in Bamenda, they were selling it for around 3.5. I bought, came to Bamenda, and the next 2 weeks, when I got my salary, my first salary per se, I went back with it to Widikum and bought the oil for 2,000, came and stopped, and was selling right in my house as a young, vibrant student just from university, from high school and working. That is how I started raising money. It is from that oil that I sold that I made money to get married. It was not my salary, but I was working. But when I saw any opportunity like that one, and many others, I did not wait that I will be doing this, because I came from a setting that was not rich. I don't come from a very, very rich background. My parents were peasant farmers, coffee farmers, and did nothing. So I had to do that right from day one that I started work, and that is how I started raising my own money.
So if I understand you clearly, your business journey did not start with money.
No.
It started with the idea.
Yes.
To buy the palm oil.
Yes.
That was cheaper.
Yes.
And go and resell it elsewhere and make some profit. So the idea came first.
Yes.
And then you put in the money.
Yes.
Right. I think that's very important, because when you talk to especially young people today about business, they will tell you, but where am I going to get the capital? How am I going to start? I have no money. But they fail to understand that it starts with an idea.
Yes.
Because you can have money, and with no idea, that money may go into waste.
That's right.
So now, why have you diversified into such different sectors? And when does diversification become overexpansion? Leisure,
yes.
hotel,
yes.
schools,
yes.
agriculture.
Exactly.
You're doing all of that.
Yes. Like I said, I used to do agriculture and livestock very exclusively in Bamenda until 2016. This is where I was really best. After 2016, when the difficulties started in the Northwest, we could not continue, and we decided to liquidate many of the things that we're doing there for security reasons and relocate to Douala particularly. And so when we relocated to Douala, that is how we started the diversification. Because when we came to Douala, Douala is not an easy place to sit and think that you can do one activity and you'll be able to meet. So we're struggling with what will be able to give food to those of us that came and the children that will have to go to school. And that is how we found ourselves in much of the diversification. When we came, we first tried to do poultry and the piggery that we used to do in Bamenda. It didn't give out very well. We moved on to leisure, because we saw that if we were to do some of those leisure things, we could get money. And we started some leisure activities that gave us money, real money. I mean, I must tell you. And when we made money from those leisure activities, somebody advised us that somebody of your caliber should not just remain in leisure. Let's start a primary school, because we'll acquire some land after the leisure activity. And that's how we started the primary school. After the primary school, that is how we went into the university. So the things were coming systematically as events were unfolding and as we were raising money. We never just sat up like this and did. And so some of them we got as a result of the other one progressing. And that is how we found ourselves into them. Agriculture, livestock, leisure are things we were attempting in the Northwest. You know, before we came to Douala, we had been in that for over 30 years, because before 2016, I was 30 years at work. I was actually planning to retire and do those things. And then, even though I still work now on secondment, because I'm actually effectively retired now, I have been preparing for it from day one, like I told you, because I did not wait. When I went for my first outing after working for 1 month, my first salary went to buy palm oil, and it is that palm oil. As we speak, my wife still sells palm oil for a living, and that is what gives us a lot of money as well.
So, do you really need money, connections, or political influence to succeed in business in Cameroon?
I don't think. Because I am an example. I don't have a godfather who is a minister. I don't have a godfather who is a banker. I have struggled with all of those, because it is those my things that I did that I've been telling you. I mean, my palm oil 1 drum that I bought in 1986, by 1992, for your information, when the devaluation came out, I had 20 drums of those my palm oil, which I bought for around 30,000 a drum. And after the devaluation, I sold it for over 200,000 francs a drum, with a gain of about 160,000. If you multiply that by 20, you see that I made almost 3-4 million. In those days when money, a bag of cement was like 2,500. That is when I built my house. That is when I bought my first car. I mean, after working just for 5 years. It's not somebody that gave me the money. It's not my father, neither my friend, neither a godfather. No, that is my role. There is what I am telling you is practice. I am not somebody. I'm not reading from something. I'm telling you just the truth. And so it can happen to anybody. All you need to do is the mindset, like you rightly said.
You're an example
Yes.
of success.
Yes.
Without necessarily having to go through the way of connection, political influence, and so on. So, what has been your biggest failure or setback in business, and what did you learn from that?
I think the biggest setback I've had in business is that at one point, sometime, when I started, because like I say, I started subsistence, and when I went industrial, at one point there are some things that I thought would pay off that did not pay off on time, and because I had used other advantages to, take like loans or some financing from some places, those are other activities that are not paying off and making life difficult for those ones that paid off. And that is the only setback I think I can say that I've had in most recent times, but not that can actually pull me off, because within the time, like I have said, that I made little money, I invested in things that in the event of any failure now, I will not be found wanting by either banks or my immediate workers or things.
Right. Let's take some interviews now. I'll be right back in a moment. Interviews of the week.
The accident took place on the 18th of August in the mining locality of Zambwe in the Central African Republic, which shares a frontier with Cameroon, as you can see on the map. Technically speaking, on the Cameroon front, mining is practiced in alluvial flats, but on the other side, the activity is practiced on very steep slopes And during the rainy season, such an accident is quite possible. So that is what caused it. And we have expressed our sentiments to the Central African Republic authorities who are on site to evaluate the situation. This only gives a lot of credibility to the moves that the government has taken to restructure the artisanal sector. It is a problem everywhere, and that's why the government wants to move mining to industrial mining, and that's why we're developing 4 new mines. The mine in Bolgene in the east, the mine in Bipimi in the north, the mine in Bere in Adamawa, and the Kolomini. In the task force, we have 5 groups. One is to sensitize and tell people about how to regroup themselves and do all these activities in a dignified way. You can see that what is happening, we have to work on it, because even the work practices and the rest are very undignified conditions in which human beings should work. We want that the task force created in the ministry should go out there, sensitize, assist the council authorities to this new role. Their role is to take care of this direct artisanal mining, while the semi-mechanized activity is handled with companies and the rest.
The president has been out for 74 days. He came back in the country. No press briefing. Some say they did not see his face. Some say they saw the hand of the state and not the head of the state. However, everybody can interpret it anyhow. But I think we are in a crucial moment in the history of our nation. And at this point in time, I want to believe that President Biya has been out. A lot of talking has been going on, and a lot of people believe that he was out because of ill health. I don't want to dabble into any of such things. My main focus is that President Biya is coming back at a time Cameroonians have lost their lives in many accidents. We have not heard him. He's coming back at a time a lot of things have been happening, a lot of speculations. He's coming back at a time the country seems to be at a standstill. Everybody who cares about the political evolution of this country has been asking, where is the new government President Biya promised when he was taking out of office after the 2025 election, where many believe that the Constitutional Council made him president against the wishes of Cameroonians. However, he is president. Having Mr. Biya's age is grace. Is grace that is not given to anyone. But do not failing to use this age to serve God and his people becomes a spiritual abuse. I'm just coming back from the village. My grandfather is, I think it should be 2 years. 2 years less older than Mr. Biya, but he barely hears. He barely hears. Now, at this age, we need his wisdom to guide him, and not his political cabal around him who have taken the country hostage to keep preaching that he is able. Because one will not be out of place to say that Mr. Biya has come of age, and that age, by nature, one cannot cheat it. I don't see a situation where if there is an emergency in this nation now, Mr. Biya will be able to run from Yaoundé to go down. I know some people will say he has governors, he has duos, he has delegated powers. No. Out of all these people I've just enumerated, none of them has ever been elected. I'm talking about someone who is there through the election of Cameroonians. But again, it becomes so worrisome, it becomes so disturbing that our president, we see him more on pictures than see him in the physical. The country is in a standstill. Nothing is working. See the kind of roads that we are having now and tell me if the president's coming back can be a solution. I don't think yes. He's coming back at a time where water, electricity, go to Northwest, use the road linking the littoral region and the West region. The other day I saw at least 2 cars in Chang lying down. because the road situation there is not the best. So the coming back of the president should not be like the second coming of Jesus Christ, when it will actually have no impact on us. Because whether he is away or he is in Cameroon, I don't see his impact. The bottom line is that it is time for him to rest, like any other person can rest. There is one thing in life we can't cheat, which is nature. And I think his entourage has been fooling him, because a lot of them have committed crimes. We know of the can gate, we know of the COVID gate, we know of, all the other gates, like embezzlement scandals in Cameroon, that they are trying to use the president's image to cover it up.
Right, you're welcome back. We're wrapping up this edition of the program. Dr. VISHI MONJU Johnson, there's a problem in the Cameroon and several African nations where we see businesses collapsing after the departure of the founder or the proprietor. Can VISHI University Institute stand and remain sustainable after you?
Thank you, Mr. Babila.
I'm taking just that example.
Yes, thank you very much. I think in the course of talking with you, I told you that my very first son studied in the US. And while I was asking him back, when I was setting up a couple of these things, his colleagues, his friends with whom they were like, man, people spend time to come here, others are struggling, why are you going back to Cameroon to do? And I want to proudly tell you that he is the one who is the Vice Chancellor of VISHI Higher Institute, University Institute now. He is the one that has been leading many of those diversifications that we're doing. He is the one who has been doing the feasibilities. He is a PhD student now. He has two masters. He had a master's degree in business administration from the US before coming. He has done master's degree in statistics, epidemiology here, because when he came, he did other works with Clinton Health Access Initiative in Cameroon. Why, setting up his businesses with me. His immediate follower is the one that was working with me in Bamenda to set up all those things. That one is really the one who has been with me, because he has not gone out of the country. But so my first two children are boys, and they are the ones leading all those things that you have been talking about as we talk now. So I don't think that after me, if they allow it for, it is not because I did not do, because what kills in most of those things in African countries and here is the succession planning that is lacking. I think for me, it is, let me say 80 to 85% ready. If I were to leave from this and don't even reach home, I don't think that those things will go away very soon.
Beyond your son, have you put in place some a mechanism that can sustain the business beyond your sons, beyond your children, beyond your family?
Me, I'm the president of VISHI Holdings, because as you said, VISHI University Institute is just one of the activities in the diversified VISHI holding. Like there are hotels, there are leisures, there are farms, and there are other activities like real estate. We try to do all those things. We are following a corporate governance system that each of those have a manager that has a set of procedures according to the norms of that sector. We are not just because it is VISHI, no. If it is hotel management, the hotel manager is well trained in logistic management, hotel management, everything, and he does it as any hotel, whether it is Hilton, whatever kind of international hotel. That is how we do. And if it is a farm, the farm manager will be somebody that people that are well trained in those areas. There is no mediocrity around where I am, and that is exactly how we are moving up.
In the next 20 or 30 years to come, what will you consider your greatest success? Wealth or the institutions that outlive you?
If I went into schools that will just tell you that I wanted to use the money that we have made from elsewhere, from real estate, from livestock, to invest in children, in people. I remember many friends say, you have moved from this to people. I think that is the right thing. Because now I pass, the children that graduated from my primary school, they call, this is VISHI, that's part VISHI. And that is the pressure I think everybody would like to leave behind his own people. And so if every other one does not even succeed and that one has succeeded, I think I would have been a successful man. And I will be happy 30 years after that. My good parents used to tell me that even if I die and go, water will bring something and tell my bones that this good thing is still happening. I think the good thing will be these schools and the children that have come out from it.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming to have this conversation with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for this edition of The Inside. God bless Cameroon. God bless Africa. Goodbye.